Hey guys, and welcome to Should You Buy It, where all we do is talk a little bit about the game and tell you whether or not we think it's worth the cost.
We come from the darkness. We hit hard. We hit fast. We are Marauders.
In this episode, we'll be playing Marauders, the first-person tactical looter shooter game where you and up to 3 friends will fight against other players in AI on your journey to craft, quest, scavenge, and shoot your way to the top.
Now, the first question that we always cover in these videos is what stage of development is the game in? And in this case, Marauders is currently in early access and available on PC for $30.
So what exactly is the game? Well, Marauders is a full loop PvP focused game with tons of PvE to keep you busy. The primary gameplay loop consists of players gearing up in the lobby and then deploying in a spaceship to one of the many different randomly chosen maps. Upon arrival, you will probably want to head over to one of the raid entrances. You'll have to be careful though, as AI ships as well as player controlled ships can shoot you down along the way.
When you do reach that raid entrance, you will have to enter into the raid itself by going in through an airlock. This is an extremely loud process and will tend to alert nearby enemies of your location. Once inside, your next goal will be to enter and finish a mission or gather as much loot as you can. This is done by killing NPCs and players and then proceeding to loot their corpses. You can also find loot by searching nearby objects such as a toolbox, a cardboard box, large crates, and even vaults. Vaults, of course, will have the best loot, but will tend to be the most highly contested.
Sometimes though, you'll want to do one of your missions. You see, Marauders has 2 major sources of missions that will each give you experience, items, faction reputation, and crafting recipes. These missions, however, can be a bit frustrating since they don't actually give you clear instructions. The best you can really hope for is, hey, go to this randomly spawning map, then once you get that map, I want you to find some special documents in the security office. Sounds pretty simple, right? Well, when there's no quest marker or clear direction as to how to get to that security office, and you don't really know exactly what these documents look like, there is a good chance that you're going to be struggling to find it.
Marauders also has a fairly wide variety of weapons. You have your standard World War II weapons with quite widely varying power levels such as an oomiee, a bar, an M16, trench guns, shields, and much more. However, if you have an oomiee and low tier armor while your opponent has an M16 and high tier armor, there is a good chance that you're going to just lose that fight. It is definitely still doable, it just means you'll be at a significant power disadvantage going into it. Luckily though, it is not too hard to understand how good things are, since unlike its predecessors such as Tarkov, it doesn't actually have realistic damage and penetration values.
Armor and weapons have a set amount of damage that they will do upon hitting an enemy with a shot. That damage is then reduced based on the armor value of the hitbox that it hits. So for example, let's say you have a tier 6 armor value chest piece. If you get shot by a weapon that has 20 damage, then you will take roughly 14 damage. There is a lot more to the damage system, but on its surface, it's very easy to understand. There are also only a few ammo types, and each gun clearly displays what type of ammo it uses. This means you won't have to figure out if you should use hollow points, armor penetrating, or regular rounds in a gun, and instead just need to make sure you bring 5.56 ammo for a gun that uses 5.56.
Lastly, I want to take a moment to talk about the ships within Marauders itself. The ships within Marauders are important, yet also unimportant. This is because ships are extremely expensive and also easily stolen, but offer you extra loot storage and combat capabilities. Some of the larger ships have special weapons that are able to be attached to them. They also have an internal storage so that you can store your inventory on the ship and then proceed to gather additional loot. This makes ships both very valuable and very worthless at the same time, as it's a huge risk to take out an expensive ship when all it takes is someone spawning in, boarding you, and killing you off to claim it for their own.
Now before we move into the pros and cons, we would like to mention that if you hit the join button just below this video, you can get some cool perks for less than the price of a cheeseburger at your favorite fast food restaurant. In all seriousness though, any support makes a huge difference in the time and quality that we're able to put in each of our videos, and once again, to do this, just check out the join button down below. With that being said, first up for the pros is the prestige system. This allows the player to reset their entire loot and gear pool back to the starting part of the game. Prestiging makes it so that players have something meaningful to grind towards, such as extra inventory inventory slots. This also makes it so that players don't get overgeared and crush all the newbies. Next up for the pros is the fact that gear is just simply more reasonable to get. This is great as this genre of games is well known for being overly punishing. Thankfully, the loot is not too easy to obtain, nor is it too difficult, so you will be able to enjoy the game without the constant fear of losing your best gear. Following that is just simply the ease of playability. People have been describing this game as Tarkov with a more Call of Duty feel and mindset to it, and quite frankly, I would agree. The core gameplay is more strategic and methodical than Call of Duty, but the mechanics are simple and easy to learn, unlike Tarkov. And finally for the pros is just the overall theme of the game. I know we use this as a pro in a lot of our videos, but sometimes game devs are just able to come up with awesome ideas for their games. This game in particular takes place in a World War II apocalyptic spacefaring world. I mean, who doesn't love to shoot World War II weapons while driving around in a semi-futuristic ship with World War II punk inspiration?
Now for the cons. The first con I have for you guys is the fact that the game balance is just kind of a bit rough at this point in time. Sure, it'll improve, but at the moment it is pretty bad. To give you an example, let's say you spawn in. You could choose to take a very expensive ship in and fly over to the raid zones and then start your raid, or you could just take the cheapest ship and fly straight there. No matter how much damage you take, 99% of the time, you can fly straight there and having a bigger ship will have almost no impact. If a bigger ship comes after you and tries to take you out, even if you go to 0 health, there are still escape pods so you don't have to take your ship out but are still able to dock. I think there's a lot of things they can do to fix some of these balance issues, but we'll just have to wait and see what they do over time. Up next for the cons is the fact that there's just not much mission variety. Sure, you have the main quest line which you go through, which is called Zero to Hero, and that's kind of interesting, but all the side quests are really simple and tend to have a lot of them repeating as they reset every day. Just to give you an idea, I had one quest where I had to get 12 kills with a very specific gun, and then got that quest 2 more times within a 5-day time period. Next up for the cons is the fact that there is currently no true tutorial for the game. Sure, I would love to have one in the game itself where you actually go through and do the missions, but at the moment they kind of just send you to a YouTube video, and to me that seems pretty tacky. I don't think it would be that hard to at least import the video into the base game file so that you don't have to click an external link and go to YouTube itself, or have to watch it directly from YouTube within the game. Finally for the cons is the fact that the game is just rather buggy at this moment in time. Just to give you an idea, there are several bugs we encountered, but the most impactful one for us was a bug where we were in the lobby and it would just seem to not let us queue together until we both restarted our games, or it would let one of us queue in and the other wouldn't get queued, and it just caused a lot of issues. There are a lot of other bugs that have been reported too, such as miners running at like Mach 20 or flying through walls. Again, these are all things to be expected with early access, but it's something you should be aware of if you do decide to purchase the game.
So now it's time for the rating for the game, and when we rate games, we want to get 1 hour of enjoyment out of every $1 that the game costs. So for this game in particular, in Marauders, we would want to get roughly 30 hours of enjoyment out of the $30 cost of the game. And after putting well over 24 played hours into this game, we give it 6 out of 10 potatoes.
Marauders was a much more user-friendly game than most of its predecessors, at least within this genre. This game takes all of the complication out of a lot of these looter shooters and simplifies things down to something that is easily digestible, yet somehow manages to maintain a sense of strategic gameplay. Mechanically, I would say the game is somewhere around the skill level of PUBG, rather than DayZ or Tarkov when it comes to the amount of mechanics you actually need to know. Unfortunately, the game is still desperately in need of some rebalances as well as some polish. With all that being said though, we still had a great time playing this game, and therefore we feel that Marauders is probably worth the cost.
Now before you guys go, thank you so much for watching, and if you did enjoy the video, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for more survival game content and reviews. We just want to quickly shout out our Platinum and above members Jonathan S, Caustic FPV, and Jim Phillips, and if you too would like to help support the channel for less than $1, which is less than the price of a cheeseburger these days, you can hit the join button down below to check out our membership program. Otherwise, thank you so much again for watching, and we'll see you next time.